Look at this network. It represents the baseline reality of modern supply chains: massive, chaotic variables and strict uncertainty operating in constant motion. Professionals managing these systems face a punishing trilemma: continuous volatility, unavoidable trade-offs between cost, service, and risk, and an absolute abundance of data. But all that raw data is completely inert. Mountains of spreadsheet rows and telemetry pings lack any inherent insight until they are systematically processed. To extract actual value from that noise, you need a rigorous processing mechanism. That mechanism is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the strict framework that converts operational data into defensible insight. It achieves this by actively separating assumptions from facts. Ultimately, this discipline provides the logical structure required to reach defensible conclusions under conditions of strict uncertainty. This title card establishes the formal academic definition. Critical thinking is the disciplined ability to think clearly, logically, and independently. A pervasive operational misunderstanding is that this means criticizing your peers. It does not. The practice is strictly about accuracy and logical validation. You challenge the ideas, not the people. When we evaluate professionals, decision quality splits sharply based on their analytical structure. We call this the cognitive divergence. This matrix, titled the cognitive divide, maps out exactly how structured and non-structured thinkers approach the exact same problems. In the first row, problem understanding, non-critical thinkers jump immediately to a solution. Critical thinkers systematically frame the root problem first. Moving to thinking style, an unstructured thinker relies entirely on emotional, intuitive reactions. The critical thinker applies a structured analytical method. Under use of data, accepting numbers at face value is a point of failure. Rigorous professionals actively evaluate both the quality and the relevance of the data before using it. You might assume a decade on the job fixes these gaps automatically, but experience without deliberate reflection merely leads to repeated systemic errors. Critical thinkers actively manage complexity. Non-critical thinkers are managed by it. Subjective reasoning is difficult to scale. To make this work across an organization, we have to operationalize it into a repeatable, step-by-step framework. This flowchart breaks the methodology down. The first building block is to clarify the problem. This requires you to determine exactly what the issue is, aggressively differentiating between a surface symptom and the true root cause. The second block asks you to examine assumptions. You must isolate the elements you are taking for granted and actively test if those assumptions remain valid under current operational conditions. Third, you evaluate the evidence. Apply strict criteria to the data in front of you. Is the information genuinely reliable, or is it statistically misleading? Fourth is applying logic. Check for logical contradictions. You must ensure that your conclusions follow directly and consistently from the established facts. The fifth step is to consider alternatives. Explore multiple explanations for the data and carefully weigh the unavoidable operational trade-offs of each option. Finally, the sixth block, reflect before deciding. This forces a deliberate pause. The decision-maker must ask, what could go wrong, and what am I missing, prior to execution. By utilizing these 6 steps, effective decision-making transforms from an innate personality trait into a highly trainable, defensible system. Let's apply this theoretical framework directly to standard supply chain failures to test its diagnostic value. This split-screen logic map illustrates our first case. On the left, we have a forecast error, starting with a single data point: sales dropped. The non-critical response draws a direct single-line path downward to a reactive conclusion: demand is weak. The critical response diverges. The path splits into multiple analytical inquiry nodes. Were there promotions? Did we have stockouts? Did the channel mix change? Assuming demand is weak based on surface data leads to severe inventory mismanagement. The critical path isolates the actual disrupting variable before making an operational commitment. Now look at the right side of the map. Case 2 is a supplier delay, triggered by a late delivery. Again, the non-critical path is a straight drop to an immediate conclusion: blame the supplier. The critical path splits into nodes analyzing internal variables. It questions lead time variability, recent demand spikes, and internal planning errors. Firm. This relationship highlights a crucial reality. High intelligence does not automatically yield this level of analysis. Even a high IQ cannot replace the need for disciplined structure. Applying this diagnostic framework contains localized errors, preventing them from scaling catastrophically across cross-functional teams. We can distill this entire methodology from historical analysis into an immediate, forward-looking tool you can use today. This is the self-check diagnostic triad. The first mandatory question is, what assumption am I making right now? The second question demands empirical contradiction. What evidence would prove me wrong? The third question demands lateral thinking. What alternative explanation exists? Before committing resources, force these 3 specific questions against your initial conclusion. This process integrates clear reasoning with empirical evidence and deliberate reflection. Its primary function is to optimize decision quality, never decision speed. Mastering this deliberate analytical pause is the only sustainable method for turning raw operational data into strategic action in a volatile world.